November 19th, 1967, 4:12 p.m. The German post office records something impossible. A single office line in Rosenheim dials the speaking clock, number 0119, over 600 times in a matter of minutes. That's 6 calls per second. No human finger can move that fast. No mechanical rotary dial can spin that hard. The technicians checked the lines. They checked the switches. They found nothing. But the data doesn't lie. This isn't a ghost story. This is a data story. About the moment reality suffered a fail rate. Sigmund Adam was a man of law. He dealt in hard facts, evidence, and order. But his prestigious law firm was bleeding. It started with the light bulbs. They didn't just flicker. They exploded. Fluorescent tubes twisted in their sockets while turned off before raining glass down on the staff. Adam called the electricians. They replaced the wiring. The next day, the new bulbs unscrewed themselves and hung in midair before shattering against the floor. He didn't call a priest. He called the physicists. He wanted to know why his office was trying to kill his employees, and he wanted to know who was paying the bill. Every storm has a center. Every haunting has a catalyst. Her name was Anne-Marie Schneider, 19 years old, quiet, unassuming. But the investigators noticed a pattern, a terrifying 1-to-1 correlation. When Anne-Marie walked down the hallway, the heavy oak cabinets, bolted to the floor with steel anchors, would rip themselves out of the wood and slide 6 inches. When she was stressed, the phone screamed. When she was angry, the photocopiers would vomit ink across the room. She wasn't touching them. She wasn't even near them. Anne-Marie wasn't a girl. She was a human EMP. This is where the case moves from strange to disturbing. Experts from the Max Planck Institute for Plasma Physics arrived with high-speed cameras and magnetic sensors. They expected a prank, a bored secretary with a magnet. What they found was a frequency. Deep inside the electrical wires, they recorded a sound, a resonance. When they analyzed the waveform, it matched the exact frequency of a human vocal cord, screaming at 110 decibels. But the office was silent. The sound was happening inside the copper. The building wasn't just malfunctioning, it was mimicking the staff's internal panic. Dr. Hans Bender, Germany's leading parapsychologist, watched through a lens as a 400-pound filing cabinet, the kind that takes 4 grown men to move, slid across the floor like it was on ice. He checked for floorboards. He checked for hidden motors. He found that the energy required to move that mass should have tripped every breaker in the city. But the breakers stayed silent. The law of conservation of energy simply ceased to exist in room 4. Physics didn't break. Physics retired. The pressure became too much. The insurance companies refused to pay. The law firm was a wreck. Anne-Marie was let go, not for fraud, but for the safety of the building. The moment she stepped across the threshold, the activity stopped. Total silence. But Bender kept the logs. He noticed the phone calls, those 0119 calls to the speaking clock, weren't random bursts of static. If you align the timestamps, if you look at the duration of the clicks, they form a binary sequence, a string of data buried in a haunting from 1967. The German government has never fully released the transcript of that sequence. They claim it was interference. But Bender believed it was the building's first and last attempt to speak. Anne-Marie moved away. She changed her name. She never spoke of Rosenheim again. The office returned to normal. New lawyers, new light bulbs. But the files remain in the archives. The bent needles, the shattered glass, the recordings of the scream in the wires. We like to think our world is built on solid ground, on laws of gravity and electricity and logic. But Rosenheim proves that reality is just a suggestion. And sometimes, when the right person walks into the room, the suggestion ends. Check your phone. Are you sure the screen is actually off? Or is it just waiting for you to look away?